So think about the volume of water that it takes to produce those almonds. That's what we left off with on the last lecture. Massive, massive amounts of water are required to produce almonds. So we talked about sustainable chocolate. Well, let's think about sustainable almond production. Is it sustainable? So 1.1 gallons for a single almond? That's a whole lot of water. So what unfortunately we're seeing happen is a major depletion of groundwater because of the overuse. That should be ground. Overuse of water. So aquifers are being drained. California's been in drought and drought-like conditions for over a decade. 10 years that they've not had normal levels of water. And they're depleting their water sources for things like almond production. So it creates a huge, huge issue. I want you guys to think about the geology of this for a moment. If you drain an aquifer, this leads to a thing called subsidence. The land sinks. This happens when old mine shafts collapse. Now, aquifers are reservoirs of water underground. If there's enough water in there and it's stable, the volume is stable, the water holds the ground stable. But if you suck all the water out and it can't get replenished quick enough, there's basically a big air pocket, the ground collapses, the land sinks. So think about if your house went into a sinkhole. What about roads? Bridges? I'm just going to say etc. Pretty much any infrastructure is subject to subsidence if you over consume the water from the aquifer. It's a balancing act. Take out 2 billion gallons, it should be able to replenish the 2 billion gallons. If not, now it can lead to these subsidence issues, which have huge economic impact on everybody who lives in that state, because if your highway collapses, well, you got to rebuild a highway, and there's millions of dollars of expenses there that come from the citizens of that state. Now, when it comes to the bees are a key pollinator for the almond industry. And commercial beekeepers will ship their beehives down there to pollinate the orchards. So they're looking at roughly 30, the box here, 30 billion, that's with a B. Oh, that's not bullion, billion. Okay, 30 billion bees down there pollinating these almond orchards all at the same time. So the problem, when you bring bees from all over the country together, they're now spreading diseases from one bee colony to another, from one part of the country to another part, and you have widespread diseases that go across the entire U.S. because all the bees concentrate in the same area. If you want to control diseases, you isolate populations or individuals that are infected, you isolate them. But when you mingle 30 billion bees in these orchards across parts of California, diseases are going to be spread very easily. This has led to massive die-off of bees. Also the use of pesticides in the orchards. spraying the orchard with chemicals to kill insects and then the bees go into the orchard, you're killing them. Now, fortunately, almond farmers are aware of it and they're working with the beekeepers to try to reduce the bee die-off. With spreading of diseases, it's a little tougher. Beekeepers are monitoring, trying to check to make sure their bees are healthy, but a lot of it comes down to economics. If I'm a beekeeper, I want to make money, I'm going to rent my bees to an almond farmer to pollinate their orchard, assuming the risk my bees may come back infected and may cause the rest of my bees to become infected with a disease and die as well. So it becomes a very challenging, tough scenario when we deal with these issues, especially large-scale agricultural issues. All right, so to wrap everything up, big picture, why do we care? What's the big deal? Is it really that important? I want you guys just to become more aware of this. As a consumer, you have a voice, you have a power. The power of the dollar. We have a voice in how chocolate is produced. We have that ability to influence production based upon our purchasing. This is something each of us individually needs to decide. I'm not going to tell you, should you support sustainable chocolate, should you buy the cheap stuff? That is your decision. Maybe now at this point in life, we want chocolate, but we don't have the finances to support sustainability. Okay? Buy the cheap chocolate. But when you do have the resources and the knowledge now, maybe you'll shift your buying preferences. Like, okay, I can afford sustainable chocolate, which I know is better for the environment, and I have the resources to support that. So those are the things I want you guys to walk away with. Now, obviously, the health side of it, the information about nutrition, the carbs, the fats, the proteins, all that, but also as a consumer, how we influence the environment by our purchasing. If we buy disposable products, how does that influence the environment and the health of the environment in the long term? All right, so all good things to be thinking about, and hopefully the next time you have some chocolate, some of these things will be stuck in your brain, and chocolate will be a little bit more relevant, and the biology behind chocolate will be more relevant to you.